good afternoon, folks, and welcome back to KCAA Radio here. My name is Dan Redig, hosting the Real Men of Real Estate the third Sunday at 1 p.m. each month. We've been talking with Michael about his adventures in getting into real estate investing. And so, Michael, you were working on kind of some personal development stuff, and that led you to folks talking about real estate in terms of buy and hold or maybe flipping in some cases. And you actually discovered wholesaling along the way and have kind of gone down that road. So I know you went out on your own and you tried that for quite a while, and you're still in the game. So how did you get started as a wholesaler? Kind of what happened first?
So doing into wholesaling and what happened is good. I laugh at the story now just because it's kind of mostly in the past.
Sure.
Um,
I have one of those. Also related to wholesaling.
um, just because I was like, I didn't really, this was a big thing. Like I didn't realize like, oh wow, like, oh, as going through programs and you get your online gurus and realize that a lot of them really don't know what they're talking about, but
Right.
they make it sound so easy. You don't
Oh
need
yeah,
no
yeah. Leave all
money.
the details out. Sell a course they started selling 15 years ago and didn't update. And
You don't need no money, which is true.
it's true.
Which is true. You don't need no
Just
money,
need your
but
cell phone.
you need your cell phone and a lot of time. That's the one thing that they didn't
Yeah,
really
you do.
really
Yeah.
talk about. So
Right.
as I was going about this, I was like, okay, well, how am I gonna find people, that want to sell their house? And recommend is like, oh, you can go check for sale by owners on
Mm.
websites. Some people will start off with either Zillow, Redfin, and so forth.
Hmm.
Checking them out, checking your for sale by owners, checking your people who are renting properties, calling them and see if they even want to sell.
Okay.
And as you know, as people who have been in the wholesale side, they'll know that you'll get some very nice words and comments to you. Did I want to sell? Does it look like I want to sell? It says it's for rent.
Okay.
This is my price, so forth. If you can't give it to me, has some very nice choice of words for you. It's
Yes.
definitely not for the faint-hearted.
No, 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 no.
Um, so that route went very lovely for a while.
Okay. So you're using just for sale by owners at this point, or were you doing some other marketing to try and generate leads?
Uh, Originally, I was just kind of just doing for sale by owner. They did
Okay.
have a certain program that I can check as people who had like pre foreclosures.
Hmm.
Um,
So you're buying lists.
yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
I wasn't buying lists. I was searching for lists.
Got it.
On who to call and check out in the area and so forth. And I was doing those lists for a while, cold calling, and I realized that I absolutely hated cold calling. Um, Especially going into this brand new.
Oh yeah. Yeah, if you haven't done cold calling before, that hang on everyone.
Yes, cold calling is they they make it sound like it's a lot easier. Oh yeah, just get out there and call. People definitely sell you, a house. Oh, okay.
Yeah, right.
After about a good 10 in a row where people are not answering or not interested or why are you calling me? Then I was like, okay, this is yeah, this is not how I imagined this.
Yeah.
And so progressing on and still calling people, and I realized that people just did not want to talk to me. And then,
Okay.
I understand why.
Well, I know we'll get to this later, but that's changed.
Yes, it's definitely has.
So you
Definitely
can
has
develop the
changed.
skill. So, but at this point, nobody wants to talk to you. You're trying to figure out what the heck to do.
Yes. And
Okay.
so I got into a different way of approach was by advertising and using VAs or virtual assistants.
Okay.
Like, okay, yeah, have them, text blast out, sending text messages to people. and I could do cold calling on the side. So that way I'm kind of double dipping my resources.
Okay.
And one thing I did realize during this process is you definitely cannot advertise in the Midwest like you do out here in the West Coast.
Okay, that's a story. Tell us about that. What's the difference?
Well, and the difference is when you're kind of doing your marketing out in the Midwest,
Yeah.
it doesn't people kind of respond to you. I realized that I wasn't spending a lot of money in the Midwest as I was in the West Coast. I
Got
have
it.
to almost double and triple my marketing
Hmm.
just get out there only for people to tell me no.
Got it.
So that was a very hard lesson learned.
Expensive lesson, it sounds like.
Yes,
Oh
very
man, I'm
expensive
sorry.
lesson.
That is too bad. Oh man. So, all right, so that happened. And what did you learn, or what did you do different? How about that?
So so originally I kind of just started off in the Midwest, and you know, as I was going, people were nice, that Southern
Hmm.
hospitality, but overall they were kind of firm, and what they was like, hey, not interested, you know,
Yep.
don't call them,
Right, right.
right? And during this time frame, when I was doing this was prime COVID. So this is, if everyone remembers that in
Yeah, yeah.
2020, everyone, you can just throw your house on the market and everyone's paying
Top
well over
dollar.
top
Yeah.
dollar, if not over more. And listening to the strategies that I learned from somebody was like, oh yeah, you have to do 75%. And I'm like, okay, well, this is not working. And that took a very, and you know, and I, that took a very hard lesson to learn because I didn't understand how people were getting deals at
Hmm.
75% when everyone was paying top dollar.
Right, right.
And I wanted to know the formula on what they were doing.
Yep. You've got to find somebody who's got a need, something you can solve, right?
Yep.
And the market's solving the need right now, so that's harder.
And to this day, I still don't know what their formula was as far as how they came up with, oh, yeah, in the end, they're like, okay, we're going to say, we're going to give you this. And then hopefully I find a buyer. And it seemed like that worked for them. It didn't work out for me, but hey, kind of it was okay. Um,
Hmm.
I did bump my head, and I was trying to figure out is like, how are people getting deals? I'm going into these Zoom meetings, and everyone's talking about their deals, but
Yeah.
when I asked about, what are you guys doing? No one didn't want to share. It seems like it was almost a big secret, or they're like, oh, we're using the formula. I'm like, I'm using the formula too, and it's not working out. The 75% rule is not working out.
Right. Now, especially in an increasing market, then you're always racing to catch up.
Yes, and they so the strategy that was being taught was good in a normal market, but in a market where everyone's paying top dollar, it doesn't work. And I
Hmm.
guess everyone was trying to figure it out themselves on, okay, how are we going about this?
Hmm.
People
Right.
are buying, and what's the reason why that they're buying? So worked with a JV'd with a guy on a couple
So
projects.
JV is that you're talking about joint ventures, so you're gonna work on deals together.
Yes,
Okay.
I was providing the leads, and he would go out there and pretty much check the house out to see if this was something that we would buy.
Hmm.
Did that for a few months and did not get a single deal. People pulled out and so forth.
Oh no.
So that was a lesson learned. Then I decided to do it on my own and go to the West Coast and out in San Diego.
Okay. So you
Um,
wanted to go do something even harder.
yes, so I decided to get in a very competitive market and wasted a lot of money trying to advertise and say, hell yeah, hey, I'll buy your house.
Okay.
With that process now, or that process then, I would say, more people are, depending on where you're at, especially in a very competitive market, they're
Yep.
more.
And people on the coast are generally more savvy with real estate and what they can do, what their options are. They're more prone to taking risk.
Yes, more prone to
Just from my
taking
personal experience, going through what you've been through.
yes,
Yeah.
and again, that like maybe I lost a lot of money in that process and wasn't able to recover financially at the time
It
during
can be
that.
hard. It can be really hard. All right.
Uh,
Well, so you've gotten it all working, and we'll talk about that more just in a little bit. So, uh, at this stage, you've kind of gotten a taste of it. You've seen what it is. You've tried it on the West Coast and found out that it's tough here in Southern California. So, kind of before we go out here, what was the next step you took?
the next step that I took was being around other investors and like-minded people.
Okay. So kind of out of the mentoring programs and into the networking and education in your area.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's a great time for us to get ready for a station break, and we'll talk a little bit more about that when we come back. Um, for everybody out there listening, we are here on KCAA Radio out of Redlands. This is 1050 AM, 106.5 FM. My name is Dan Redig. I'm here with Michael Cormier on the Real Men of Real Estate. Thanks for tuning in.